Well, Hyde and Poyer do a good job. They work very well together. It's hard to talk about one without talking about the other one. They do an excellent job disguising their coverages and the blitzes because they do pressure a pretty fair amount. They are both very instinctive and make some plays based on anticipation, experience, recognition of offensive formations or plays as they develop. They react to them pretty quickly. So both those guys do a real good job. But Hyde's, has also stepped in for him as a punt returner. He's got very good ball skills. He has corner experience. So when they're in man-to-man coverage situations and he's asked to do that, he's pretty competitive as a coverage player, as well as a zone player, both short and deep, middle of the field or half of the field, because they play both split and post safety coverages. So he's a pretty versatile guy. Poyer, similar, a little more of a strong safety role, but again, they work very well together and they're somewhat interchangeable because the defense is balanced and there's a lot of strong rotation, there's a lot of weak rotation, there's a lot of split safety coverage, there's a lot of strong safety pressure, weak safety pressure, or pressures from that side. So they're pretty interchangeable, and that makes them a well-balanced defense. It's hard to take advantage of one thing or the other because they're both pretty good at both.
All right, so I want to talk about how many times you said interchangeable, well-balanced. Yep. I mean, that's really the topic of this show. We're showing their versatility, their interchangeability, if that's a word, and how well-balanced they are. And their balance, again, is the identity of this defense. Poyer's that single high player. And I think Tannehill, this was a really bad throw, but I honestly think Tannehill thought that Poyer was going to break down on the middle and actually execute a cut right here, a slice, thinking that this guy's coming across. And you can see Tre'Davious White almost look like he's going to replace him deep. So I think Tannehill was guessing here. This is what he assumed Poyer was going to do, but Poyer never left the post. Never even gave the sign that he was going to leave the post. He stayed back, and as this receiver comes across the middle right here, he's able to just pick it off from his post safety position. And that's the thing. So Hyde and Poyer aren't the greatest athletes, and so when they are playing in that post safety look, everyone thinks post safety, cover three type looks. You got the, Earl Thomases of the world with speed. They got to be able to get from sideline to sideline from a single high look. Those guys aren't that type of athlete. So they win from the shoulders up, being able to process and read the quarterback, read the route combination from that single high look and make plays on the ball like you see here.
What I also love too, when you're not the fastest or you're the most athletic, you can't afford to have any wasted motion, and you have to be on point from a technical aspect. That was one of the things I loved. Everybody, I'm sure it's burning everyone's brain. Micah Hyde's interception of Mac Jones in the playoff game on that first drive for New England. It's not so much the speed of him, breaking and, driving deep and picking off Mac Jones. It's the angle he takes. There's no wasted motion. And you see that here with Poyer. There's no false movement, kind of like a center fielder judging, a rocket off the bat, like your angle to the ball and your footwork. There's no wasted motion. You can see him looking like a quarterback back there, processing everything that's in front of him. He sees the routes developing. He sees Tannehill through the routes that are developing, and look at his feet. There's no more drifting. He slow plays it a little bit, kind of horizontally, and waits for that ball to come, and then he pounces on it, and he takes a proper angle to the football. There is no wasted motion. You don't have to be a 4.3 40 guy to always get to the ball and be around the ball. And like you said, play, post safety. You don't have to do that. It's about how fast can you play from a mental standpoint. It doesn't matter how fast or how athletic you are. If you can't process and you're playing slow mentally, you are going to play slow physically. Poyer plays fast mentally, as does Hyde. And on this one, you also see that technical aspect from Poyer, right to it, straight line, A to B, no wasted movement, no rounding around, no false footwork. He reads it, he jumps it, he attacks it, technical, precise, and that's a huge part of why they're able to win and make these plays over and over.
Corners over, you got twin set over here, both the starting corners are over that way. And then you have a split backfield, and you can see the linebackers are pretty much matched up with their guys in the backfield. And so they're not hiding the fact that it's probably man coverage, but they're hoping that Hyde can at least stay on the hash and he doesn't have the speed to make a play deep. So you got the double move right here on Levi Wallace. Wallace gets cooked.
Yeah, he gets beat bad.
He gets cooked here. But because the pump fake was basically to no one, it didn't really hold Hyde at all. Right here, as that pump fake happens, watch how Hyde this is where he starts the process. Like, okay, he's going deep. Now I'm going to get on my horse. So he gets on his horse. And again, he doesn't have to come from far, but he has to maintain and get speed to stay over the top and not let that wide receiver get behind him. But more importantly, we're going to see it from the end zone angle. The ball tracking was out of this world.
It was unreal. And then when he picks it off, he pins it to his face mask as he goes down. It's wild. When Mac Jones does the pump fake, I feel like he's pumping Levi to get him to bite on the double move, maybe. And I don't know if he doesn't think Hyde is watching him or doesn't think Hyde can make that play.
Which would be dumb if you're pump faking versus man coverage, because that guy's eyes are going to be on that wide receiver.
I had so many Patriot fans that came in and they were like, the pump wasn't nothing. He was pumping Levi, and it was like, dude, but there's no reason for the pump there. You still got to hold the safety. Like, there's no reason the safety should be getting over the top like that so easily. Hyde reads this textbook, similar to what Poyer did on the previous play. And I alluded to it on the last play, so that way you could tee it up on this one. It's his angle to the football, like a center fielder tracking, a rocket to the warning track. You have to, I feel like people also again, maybe they do, maybe they don't. He's not looking down at his feet. He's not looking at Aguilar. He has to track the ball in the air and then maintain that angle. He has to feel whether or not he's drifting, whether he's getting too shallow, whether he's getting too far over the top. If his angle to this football isn't perfect, he's either underneath Aguilar and too far, close to his feet, or he's too over the top and he gives Aguilar a chance to either make a play to break it up or come down with the ball. The angle here is absolutely perfect. He drops back and you see him read Mac Jones, and then instantaneously he's reading the trajectory of the football out of Mac Jones's hand. Again, I'm going to keep using this analogy, just like a center fielder reading the ball off the bat of a hitter. That is so impressive when you've got, again, let's talk to that interchangeability piece, back-to-back plays. You've got these guys who could do the same thing, in a variety of ways. And in this instance, they're both playing that single high post, unreal.
Money.
This one's hot. This one's good too.
And this is what's funny. So this was earlier in the year, I believe. Yeah, this was earlier in the year.
Week 9, week 10.
Yeah. And Poyer is the post safety here. And watch what the Jets try doing. They try basically running the same type of play. It's basically the same play, but it's not a good throw because he's under pressure. He's throwing under duress and he kind of lobs it up. But this is Poyer picking off almost the same exact play against the Jets earlier in the year. So I don't know why they believed, the Patriots believed that they could get either of these safeties on this type of play. But again, they can play split field looks. They can play single high post safety looks. They have enough range. They process good enough to get to the sidelines and make interceptions like that.
And something that we've talked about this offseason is the idea of defenses trying to dictate to offenses and being able to try and take back some semblance of control. Poyer and Hyde allow you to do that because you're not hamstrung or forced to play them in certain areas because they have such glaring deficiencies. It's not, the Legion of Boom secondary and that cover 3 system in Seattle was tremendous. Nobody was ever seeing Cam Chancellor as the post safety, because he didn't have the skill set for it. And granted, they didn't have to because they had Earl Thomas and they had Richard Sherman and they had Bobby Wagner and they had this one gapping defensive line that caused havoc and get into the backfield. All these perfect pieces, but you knew that if you saw Cam Chancellor, he was going to do this one thing, but he did it great, and so did everybody else, and it worked out. When you see Poyer and Hyde, you don't know what they're going to do. If they're sitting there in a split safety look, are they going to stay in a split safety look? Is it man coverage? Is it zone? Is it going to be a man match? Is it going to be a zone match? Where are they dropping to? Is one of them going to come late and blitz? Is what's going on? All of that has got to go through the quarterback's head because they can do everything. And it's so funny to see them make the same play on back-to-back plays here in the film room because it just, again, really highlights they can do what each other can do. And like Bill Belichick said, them both kind of being tied to one another and the success of one, not coming without the success of the other. It's no coincidence.